George Morgan here and Jack Knapp.
All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Down through the Mercedes teammate.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Berezne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Foreman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to PSGL and welcome back. Good to be back in the hot seat once again, and for the final time here this season. It's a bittersweet moment as always when we come to the end of the season, but it's always the chance for the drivers to show their best. My name is Ben Sapsford, aka Sappytron. I'm a little bit under the weather, so you may hear some raspiness or me occasionally mute, but of course, flying the flag as always is Omi. How you doing, mate?
Hello Sappy. Hello everyone. Really looking forward to this. We are all set for an incredible three-way championship battle. It all comes down to this. After 11 races, this is the 12th and final chapter. This is where it's finally going to be won. After all of the amazing races we've had this season, this is the critical deciding factor, and it's all under the lights. In 29 laps of Bahrain, first of all, we've got an 18-minute qualifying, which Sappy can immediately award a driver a point and can get them closer to the biggest trophy of the season.
Yeah, of course, it's got to be a lot riding on the shoulders of these drivers tonight, because Bahrain, there's one thing we know about it. It's pretty high speed, and a lot rides on that quali in particular, because that's going to set you up very well for those opening laps. 15 corners, and you have those major DRS sections, one after the other. Then the third zone. Is it the third or the second? It always blends together when it comes to the start-finish straight. But there you go. You got the 3 DRS zones of the course. It's all very influential. Have to be around other cars to survive on this track. I think that's the most important thing here.
Absolutely. Surviving on this track and also tactics as well. I mean, we often see it when it comes to league racing, but this is a circuit that we've also even seen it in real life, and I think that shows you how much the DRS tactics can come into play. As you mentioned, the first and second DRS zone on this circuit, 2 detection points on this circuit for it, meaning that placing your car being slightly earlier on the brakes can be critical in getting the DRS, especially when it comes on to the last lap. And who knows, we have seen so many times our 3 championship contenders all locking out the top 3. If they can have that on the final lap, then it could be a big brawl to see who's going to win the championship. However, Race MTS does have a slight advantage, Sappy, which means it will need some big moments in the race as well to give Tulki and Zorzo the chances you can see on your screen at the moment. But it's PSGL and everything is possible, and it's not won till it's done.
Couldn't have said it better. Of course, we have a bit of a unique point system here at PSGL, but that just means that the fights are going to be ever closer when it comes to moments like this. Imtiaz continues to lead, and with a 7-point margin, he's got himself a bit of breathing room, but he's still under some pressure. Why don't we have a look at some of these battles as well? We've got Tulki and Zorzo, 1 point between them. We've got a couple of points further down the order too. And if we didn't have Quintino promote, as you said, then things could have been pretty exciting on that front too. But who are you looking at in terms of this battle? Because, of course, it's not just about P1 and P2. It's all around the field. We've got these battles, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to get a battle for 5th when it comes to everyone trying to get over that position when it comes to the championship battle. So it's those little minor positions. I mean, if you look further down, you've got Also, Zach Miles at 18, and then it goes all the way down. You can see about 3 drivers on 16 points as well. So it's all so close in the bottom of the field to wherever you look in this championship. And that's the great thing when we get to an end of a season. You may not have a championship battle, but you've got so much more. But of course we do, and we are privileged to have that championship battle. So you have loads of different stories playing out in one race, and they're all going to be clashing as well throughout the race, which makes it difficult for everyone trying to achieve their goal. And all it means for us is we're just going to be in for plenty of action.
And of course, this is where we of course have the standings, we have the drivers, but it's all important to know as well who you are looking out for in that live chat. So there's a particular driver you're rooting for, there's someone you want to see come out on top. We've got a few different faces out there tonight, so we want to hear from you. Give us your thoughts in that chat, and we are about to go trackside. We're seeing the first cars now make their way out to the qualifying session, and you can see we are on board with a fresh arrival. He's in the Alpine. Let's take a look now. Let's go full scale and see what these drivers are capable of.
Oleg Napadovsky, the driver, as you mentioned, pretty new to our tier, the driver who made his debut with us last time out in this tier, now looking to try and have a good second race underneath him. We've also got Louis Welsh, as you can see directly beneath him in the leaderboard at this stage, and we now cut to him in the Mercedes. And you have so many new drivers, and I think I mentioned this last time as well with Corey. You've got so many new drivers, and that just adds as well to everything that we expect in terms of chaos in this final round. You've got new drivers trying to prove themselves before we head into our final season on this game. You've got new drivers trying to showcase their skills, trying to showcase their talent, all in between this, well, all of the existing drivers continuing their battles to end the season on a high before they possibly go on to get promoted to the F2 tier. So that just continues to add onto everything that's going on in this title final as we ride on board with Diego Zorzo as he begins a lap around Bahrain International.
It's a very narrow first line into turn 1. He's really talking about pushing those lines there, but turns 1 through 3 fairly cleanly executed, firing his way down the second DRS zone, or the first, again up for interpretation. Nicely done out of turn 4. Now probably the most aero dependent part of the circuit. You've got turns 5 through 8 and then snaking your way downhill while simultaneously balancing your car on the edge of throttle brake. Don't want to get too heavy on those brakes and throw out the balance of your car. Shift too much weight to that front axle and your rear will quickly come to meet you. Turns 9 and 10, you have to take a bit of a wide line through 9 and then really fire yourself narrow to the inside. Get as much exit speed as you can before you open up to the third sector. Now, a little bit of uphill, a little bit of incline here, so drivers pushing, but only just about mustering the edge of 6th gear before jumping on the brakes once again. But then it's a straight shot. 2 massive straights here, you can see them easily climbing into 7th gear, and the final couple of corners now. Careful of track limit on the outside, and here we go, coming up to the line now. What's it going to be from Zorzo? Initial time 26.022.
Absolutely. Diego Zorzo, the driver, third in the championship, cuts the beam over the line, and of course right now being one of the first few times is at the front of the field. More times coming in. Danny Van Bruyten, who was one of our reserves, promoted to full time. He was in second, now down to fourth. Hitala's gone to second. It's Imtiaz in third. Here's Louis Welsh up towards the line, and he is in 7th position as we see the driver making his debut today in this tier, Kendon Lutt. Here is Larry Tulke, 1 point between the Haas pair. How close is it when it comes to the timing page? It's Larry Tulke who is ahead of Diego Zorzo, but it is close between those two drivers, and MTS slotting into 4th, meaning that the top 3 in the championship currently are all in the top 4, with Tony Hitala also up there in the mix. And here is our lobby host, Marcel Biega, to the line, and he's in 9th.
Tulke, very impressive, being the first to make it into the 25s so early in the session too, but you make a valid point about some of the newcomers here. We got Napadovsky, who I personally haven't seen on the grid, unless it's a name change. I think they're a new character. We have Caden Lute as well, only driver not to set on their initial run. Now, they are a driver who's certainly got experience. I have seen them around the league racing space, but haven't seen them in this context. They have joined here as a last-minute F3 reserve to round off the season for tonight. Maybe it bodes for future opportunities for them.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the main thing. You've had lots of attendance drop off near the end of these seasons, and this is not only in this tier. We've also had it in F2. We had to send over a couple of our drivers from this tier over to assist and make sure that F2 even had a race earlier this season as well. So you have seen loads of drivers and loads of reserves getting an opportunity for these final two races, and really just throughout the season as well, with more and more drivers getting promoted up the tiers, because you of course had, well, we had Quintino in our tier. We could see how dominant he was. To say he's only 11 points on the championship lead, I think you can pretty much tell what he would have been able to do had he stayed in here. Another example, Carrera, who isn't with us today, he's not able to make it. However, Carrera, a driver, when he joined us, had a 58-point advantage in the F5 championship, which is completely unheard of stuff in PSGL. He got promoted. He still won the championship, even when he's not done about half of the races there. And had he probably done, he probably would have gotten over 100 gap points. So we've seen loads of drivers promoted. That means loads of drivers also in lower tiers getting their opportunity, and of course new drivers coming in as reserves. And if you do come in as a reserve and get on well, like Danny Van Rooten's done, you can get promoted to a full-time seat, and really then of course helps your bid to try and be a permanent driver for next season. So it's all helpful for the drivers to perform, especially when it comes to these final few races.
Well, you have another entry to the grid in the nick of time. It's Balanzalekis. They were running a little bit late by a couple of minutes. The lobby didn't wait up for him, but they just managed to sneak in. So in the nick of time, they have a chance to put a lap down, which is going to bode well for them, considering themselves and Caden Lute both have not got a time on the board. We're going to jump on with the McLaren now, and we're going to see what they can do to prove themselves here. But one thing that whole point you said about makes me think of is just the talent pool in this scene is just creeping higher and higher and higher. We're starting to reach almost what I feel is a bit of a singularity point. We've got so many drivers competing at such a high level that we're really seeing some of the lines blur between some of these tiers. It's why we are able to have F3 drivers fill in for F2s on short notice. Why it's a good thing in that regard, like having F2 drivers being able to join on F1 at times. But it really goes to show so many drivers are competing at such a high level. The only really time you get that reset is when a new game comes out, which we do know to be, well, not too far away at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And also drivers last season that were competing in the F2 tier, they've ended up in F1 Sim Racing, in the F1 Sim Racing World Championship this year. So that just tells you how it can be critical. Getting it right here, because all of the eyes are looking here. If you can get it right in this F3 tier, gives you an opportunity for F2, get it right there, then you're putting yourself in the mix, possibly to join the F1 Esports Championship, like Haas have gone with an all-rookie lineup. They have gone for drivers in these tiers. They've put their faith in that, and it does really show that if these drivers continue putting the dedication in, they can get to that point, and that's why we're seeing it so hyper competitive, and it is absolutely amazing to see. As you mentioned, as Elekez makes his way through, you're going to see them running right up towards the pit wall every time they make their way through in qualifying, and also when it comes to the races. That's exactly what we saw as well in F1 Esports when that ran around Bahrain. It's just when the drivers are running the car so low to the ground, it is just a better part of the circuit to be on to avoid some of those bumps on the normal line that you would see. So everyone you'll be seeing will be going right up to the pit wall as Master Biega is doing right now.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's finding these little nuances and these little details that just push the envelope even further here. That's the crazy thing, and that's what stands out to me so much. It's seeing how drivers are able to make so much out of this game. Find all the little details and really just go that one step further that we didn't really think possible. But here we go. Last few of the second set making their way through now. Tony Hitala, 0.896. That's going to be Thomas Lamminen going for the pit. Once again, is going to be running, but not quite getting the time they were looking for. This time, though, they didn't put down on the banks. Renelis into the pits as well. Tom 97. They came into the pits last time with a damaged front wing. So I wonder if they had a compromised run. Either way, no improvements on this occasion. Tilke can't match the magic of their inaugural run. 0.963 is where their time's going to stay. Tony Hitala has managed to pit by about 3/4 of a tenth here.
Absolutely brilliant stuff from Tony Hitala, getting himself absolutely in the mix. The driver who had a DNF last time out, and well, it's just come in basically in the, well, it didn't go his way last time out, it's going his way this time out in his 2 races that he's doing. He's another driver definitely showing his talent in this tier. Biega in 4th position. Diego's also is on an outlap. Imtiaz down once again. And I think we've also talked about Safi, of course, as we go a little bit more towards the championship fight. Justin Ertz makes his way through, he's invalidated. But Ray's Imtiaz, we did see him slightly off what he'd managed in previous rounds. And of course, also the poor result at Las Vegas. Yes, he had front wing damage. Yes, we had all of the typical Vegas chaos going on. But that can sometimes really affect a driver. So he'll definitely be hoping that it definitely hasn't affected him, because if that confidence is broken, then it definitely can play a major part. So he'll want to keep his head high and also cool to make sure that he can come back and fight back. He's got a buffer, but that can easily be turned around if we find ourselves with Imtiaz slightly down in the mid pack, which is going to be a bit more frenetic down there compared to, let's say, the two Hasses running near the front. So that's an interesting thing for Imtiaz to also think about slightly as well, and that's why this qualifying session is so important.
Oh, well, the importance is not being taken lightly by our drivers here, as we see. He's also now teeing himself up for a 3rd run around the course. Let's see what he's capable of right now. It really is impressive to see how much these drivers are willing to push the limits and how adaptable they are too. So, as you said, that line going very narrow to the pit wall because of the low ride height and the smoothness of the terrain. The fact that they're able to just pick that up immediately, start running it, see those improvements, shows they can adapt quickly to any new strategies, any new ideas, push them forward, make them faster, and that's a quality that is essential in this field, in this level of competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Adapting as well to the different games, and that's also why we see different fields when we get to the new game as well. With all of these new things the drivers have to adapt with, some adapt better than others, and if I'm honest, I wasn't quite aware of this line thing until we really got to it in F1 esports. And then it also seems like all of these drivers, when it came to PlayStation as well, which had their finals on Monday, of course, all having to adapt to that. So did some of these drivers as well, all getting themselves in the mix. But now, talking about getting themselves in the mix, we have under 5 minutes to go in the session. Diego Zorzo making his way through the final turn. He'll still believe that he can be the champion by the end of this season. He can't get ahead of Tony Hitala. He does get ahead of his teammate up to P2 for Diego Zorzo.
And it's only about 13 milliseconds between himself and Hitala, so the timing is certainly there. He does have the cards to play, it's just not quite enough. One slight misjudgment out of one corner is all it took for this one to be dropped. Van Ruyten's going to abandon and head themselves into the pit without us even having to look twice at him. We've got Tom 97 now coming up to the line. He's also going to be going for an abandon despite improvement, so maybe again just not seeing the kind of improvements that they are expecting. Many others are opting to make that same choice. Kane Luke coming up to the line now. Are they going to be committing doing the same? No, it's so tough to tell with the new pit wall line whether they are going to whether they're going to actually commit to the lap or whether they're going to actually just head straight into the pits and call it a run. But everyone, barring Zorzo, is now in the pits, and I think they're just trying to optimize the timing for the final phase.
Yeah, absolutely. If of course, every driver will believe that they can find even more time than what they managed. You'll have a better circuit underneath. You'll have everyone else pushing at the same time as well. You don't really want to find yourself getting the best possible lap in now, but knowing that there is another lap that could be even better on the line. You don't want to risk that, and then you'll of course come into the pit lane and you'll see everyone else lighting up the timing page and going quicker and quicker. You always want to be out there when the checkered flag goes to 0 and when everyone else attacks in the final moment. So everyone just optimizing themselves for that. And talking about optimizing, Ray's Imtiaz has put himself the first car out there. Remember, we mention this every week, but it is definitely worth mentioning. We do not have the slipstream due to, of course, having the collisions off. It means that there is no advantage to be gained from being behind another car. A clean road is what the drivers want because, of course, they won't be getting affected by dirty air either. However, what they will have is definitely some distractions, and we have seen throughout this season that it has affected drivers. If they were too close to a car, they can get distracted, and around a circle like this where they're pushing so hard, you cannot afford any of those distractions.
Well, when you're operating at this level, when you're a driver of this caliber, so much of your driving is almost synaptic. You don't think about it. It's muscle memory. So when you see a car ahead of you on track, you don't even stop to think whether that's a real car or not. You just see, oh, car, I need to get out of the way. I need it to get out of my way, or I need to get out of its way. You don't think about it. It's that almost backwards thing. It's that backwards thing of thinking twice when really these drivers don't even think once. They just do it. And that's in a positive way, to be clear. But when situations like that arise, when you have a ghosted car up ahead of you, sometimes you do just instinctively move out to prevent what you think is going to be a collision, and then realize after the fact, after you've compromised your line, that you're not actually going to make contact. But then there's the other issues of not being able to see the apexes, not fully having judgment of your braking points. You might be influenced by another car. All those different things to think about. But anyway, we have Imtiaz now currently the car to beat in the championship, but not so far in the timing boards. 26.113, just barely a couple of milliseconds ahead of Van Ruyten in 8th, and a whole 2/10 behind Diego Zorzo, one of their main rivals on the order.
Not going ideal as well for Ray's Imtiaz so far. Still, we'll be trying to push on in the 2nd and 3rd sector as we get all the data up for you now. We ride on board with the Ferrari through turn number 11, heading to turn number 12. We're going to get an idea. Has he been able to recover anything when it comes to the 2nd sector? He is up by a 1/10 of a second. Now, we are heading down to the final real corner of the circuit. If you nail the final corner, well, the kink that you have up towards the line is pretty easy, as we have 10 seconds to go. Out of the final corner goes Ray's Imtiaz, trying to find an improvement. It is critical for his championship. The championship leader trying to retain his advantage, and he goes to 6th position. He goes to 6th. Ray's Imtiaz could find himself vulnerable to dropping down the order with the checkered flag out, and Boomer going to 4th.
Yeah, it was 2nd row good, but he lost a lot of time in that final sector, and that was curtains for him. Tom97 finally gets that improvement as well. It's a 0.257 for the other Red Bull, but not done yet for many of the other cars. We jump on with a few. Zach Miles, who we're on board with right now, trying to see some improvement of their own, but up to the line. Oleg is going to be in 5th place with a nicely placed Alpine. Louis Welch into 8th. Is there going to be commitment from Miles? No improvement. Best they're going to get is a 13th. Where they are going to be retiring out of this one. We have Larry Tulke, however, 0.765, goes a 10th faster. Jan Hitala make a return shot. There's not going to be any return fire. It's a time improvement, but not a positional one. We have one of the other Mercedes off. That's Pasquale Ranelli. They are retiring out of the session before completing the lap. Zorzo comes to the line. No improvement, but still in P3. So good on them. That is going to be Linus Donovan usurping the Haas, though, and taking that third podium spot by just 6 milliseconds. And qualifying is done, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Tilke, with a very impressive upswing, is going to be our pole position holder and the nice earner of a solitary extra point.
Absolutely. Well, 7 points going into it. Chuck that out of the window. 6 is the gap heading into the final race of this season. This is going to be exciting stuff, but this is the main thing. It was 7, it's gone down to 6. It's opened up a lot more possibilities for the man in your picture. Larry Tulke will believe that this can be his championship. He's gonna go all in to try take this one. Ray's Imtiaz will go for 9th, and we expected this to be some final, and it's absolutely gonna deliver. Imtiaz will need to get on with it from 9th. Tulke will try remain in the position that he is, and you have everyone else trying their absolute best to get in the mix. Tony Hitala, the driver who joined us last time out in this tier, found himself with a DNF. Could he impress at the final opportunity this season in his second race of the season? We're going to find out. This is going to be special stuff.
FVR front row with Larry Tulke and Tony Hitala taking first and second within about a 10th. Just a couple of hundredths behind those, Linus Donovan and Diego Zorzo in row 2. Bubar and Napadovsky are going to be in row 3 with Van Roytsen, Biega, Imtiaz and Welch rounding out your top 10. Followed by Caden Lute, Tom97, Thomas Laminen, Zach Miles, Balintelekas, Justin Ertz and Pasquale Ranelli, who is going to be taking that 7th spot. That was a pretty intense qualifying. I gotta say, in the final moments, I was not expecting the upswing from some of those drivers. While we didn't have massive jumping around the entire time, we did see drivers making those steady gains.
We absolutely did indeed, those steady gains, all being very important, and it's bolted certain drivers up the order and left some with a lot of work to do when it comes to the main race, which we're gonna first of all get the lobby restart going.
Yep, so we're going to have a quick lobby restart, folks, to turn the collisions back on, to get us ready for racing, and to set the grid order. We are going to take a couple of extra minutes. A reminder of the standings of what we've got to look forward to, and who we need to be keeping an eye on as we get into race in full. We will be remaining focused on that, and we'll return to this standings board to discuss more in depth, but that will be after you hear a quick word from the great people who support us over at GT. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, if you want to support us and the great partners that we have here at PSGL, be sure to check out GT Omega. Use code PSGL at discount for a healthy checkout. I said what I said. I know I got it wrong, but I'm not correcting it because I think it's funnier. Anyway, looking at the standings right now, we have Larry Tilke taking away an additional point coming out of the qualifying for the pole position. And this is going to leave him within proximity of getting a potential win. So let's take a bit of a reflective look. We saw at points in qualifying, we had the Hasses up at the top. We had Tilke up top, we had Zorzo closely behind, and then Imtiaz was floating about 6 or 7. If he needs 6 points, then really, he could potentially finish first. And as long as Imtiaz finishes 4th or below with no additionals, then we could see a last minute win for the championship being taken. So that is certainly something that could make things interesting. And let's not even forget Zorzo in all of this. If Zorzo takes the win, and we also have Imtiaz getting 5th or below, with his teammate making sure that they also get 5th or below, or 4th or below, actually. I think we'd be able to get away with the difference there. Then we could see Zorzo take a surprise upswing in the late stages of the championship too. So these top 3, I think it's almost symbolic that Quintino's legacy holding separates these 3, because they really have been on another level of pace this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, everyone, that was Safi doing maths there for you on the spot. You'll be getting quite a bit of that. So we'll be getting quite a bit of working stuff out to keep you guys all updated on what is happening. Because it's a PSGL race, it's all going to be changing around so quickly. And if I'm honest, I'm quite bad at maths. So I'm going to leave that department fully to you, Safi.
Well, I can't overpromise, but I'll always be here in the corner with the commentator's napkin math at the ready.
We love that.
Ready to go. But plenty of drivers who we have seen over the course of the season. And while we are here, it's just worth taking a bit of a moment to appreciate. Look, 33 drivers on this standing sheet. We have a seriously impressive roster of talent. And I'm not just talking about F3. I'm talking about everyone. For everyone from F1, was running on its different calendar, to F2, to top of the Thursdays, to PSF1, running the top of the Mondays, all the way down the order. We're talking PCF8, we're talking PSF8, and everything else in between. Seriously impressive drivers. Everyone brings their A game. It doesn't matter what tier you're on, what level you're on. It's always great to have races here. Great to have competition that I think is a great privilege to be able to see and to be able to commentate on in the way that we do.
It's just flawless that we're able to come here and get treated to an amazing race, whether it's Monaco or even something like Bahrain that we have coming up today. We know we're going to be in for an action-packed race, and we always look forward to it, and we always, of course, give it all of our energy and attention, of course, in those moments, because you have all of these drivers who you have to remember put in the hours before these sessions, who put in the practice, and who give us a good show in the process as well, all the way throughout the season. And I think the great thing is as well, of course, with the PC tiers, with F2 later on as well, they have a championship that's separated by 1 point. You have F4 also with a championship not decided, both of those coming away at 8 PM. So you have all of these amazing tiers giving you championship battles all the way at the end, and just really all of these drivers putting in the effort week in, week out to come out here, race, and as you mentioned, the talent that we've got, it is so great to see as well. And all of these drivers, as they continue to push towards F1 esports, and we know with what we've even seen with some of our drivers getting promoted who were only racing with us last season when it came to F2, that if you do get it right here, then the opportunity will be there for these drivers to go on and sign with great teams.
But something we've always said and stood by here at F3, it's the real major step between, not hobbyists, because that sounds reductive, but between that personally driven level of competition, and it's when you start pushing into the professional world. Because F3, F2, and of course F1, that's where you're seeing people start becoming, well, one, very talented racers. It's also where you see talent start to be noticed in a proper way. Starting to see the drivers getting picked up, whether that is development positions, reserve positions for higher tiers, reserve positions for major events, for other series. It's all looking at that, and this is that transition point. It's where you really start to get the burners going in terms of your professional career, and if you want to seriously make it as a driver, this is the threshold where you have to decide, am I fully committed to this? Am I fast enough? And pushing through that barrier, staying true to that barrier and pushing through it in F3, that is where you start to see those opportunities come.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's absolutely amazing to see, especially when these seasons come to a close. The championship, we get to see all of those championship tables completely full, and really gives the teams an idea of who's done well as well, who could be a driver they keep an eye on, not even necessarily sign at that moment, but for example from this tier, someone who will be moving up to F2 most likely, if of course they do well, and that will be someone that they keep their eye on and possibly could try and get into their team. So this is the point where the drivers really start to get looked at, and really some eyes go to see all of these drivers and to possibly look for the next few talents coming up, because there is quite a lot of them, and you want to be able to steal and grab the best drivers early on before your rivals do.
Yeah, and the new sort of drivers are going to be the ones who are hungry, are going to be the ones who are willing to push and give it absolutely. So we will, of course, have that come to fruition in due time. But the important thing now is that we have an amazing season under our belt. We have what is potentially the penultimate season in F1 24, because season 39 has been announced. We'll get to that, but we also have our final race that we have to decide and see who is going to come out on top as our winner. So let's go trackside for a nice evening in Bahrain to finish the season off, and let's see what these drivers can really do. Final rig ups, and there we go, folks. 3, 4, 5 red lights. The track is hot for the final time of the season, and it's an immediate strong launch from Tulki and Hitala both, as you have Donovan trying to best to get on the chase. Drivers scurrying left and right, bumping rubber, trying to move for any spots. 2, 3 wide through the second corners. And we have everyone just flurrying, scuttling any kind of ground they can make up in the early stages of the competition and get themselves into a fighting spot to defend. We see a little bit of jostling. There's Biega getting their elbows out against a couple of the other cars to insert themselves into P6. There's not going to be much movement from the front, but the mid-pack is where all the spice is kicking off. There's Oleg coming up along the side. You can see Rez Imtiaz kind of getting caught a little bit in the weeds there. And I think my voice is starting to give out. So, Omi, you might have to take the reins on this one for me, my friend.
Absolutely. Rez Imtiaz. Now, you would have seen, of course, he was right in the mix. If you were focusing on the timing board, he was right in the mix, battling his way through up the order. And I think it gives you the information of how much he is having to fight to try to stay in that 9. That was a big challenge, but bolting his way up the order. Thomas Lamnin up 7 places. Absolutely outrageous stuff. One of the starts of the season for the McLaren driver who we're on board with, who isn't done yet. He's on the back of Danny Van Bruyten, and I think one of the reasons why he may have gained so many places is because he was on the soft compound tires. He is on the soft. Everyone else has gone for the hard compound tires, and that means Laminin will try and get himself up the order at this stage.
Yeah, I think he's gone for a very aggressive opening, and the important thing for Laminin right now is just get the positions. Get the positions, get out ahead. I'll let the softs carry me maybe a little bit longer than I plan and slow the others down. But after that, I need to be jumping out onto something like even a medium just to carry you through. You could maybe eke out a medium further than you usually would if you're able to be careful. But yeah, very high risk, high reward strategy from Laminin right now. He could either run a medium, run even higher risk, or he could go for a hard strategy just to smooth it off. As many of the other drivers have gone for the hards, I'm not being too optimistic in terms of tyre life.
Van Bruyten, my word, was he able to keep the foot in and keep the battle going for a while. To say that Laminin was on the soft, to which he would have got fired up very quickly as well, if you could tell with how many places he was able to gain. And I mean, he was going so late on the brakes down towards the first turn that he very nearly went into the side of Zorzo. And wow, would that have had massive implications on the championship. Talking about the championship, Lari Tulki right now in first. Tony Hitala, though, as we mentioned, he comes under the category. Of trying to impress in the final race. He's joining late on in the season, and he's trying to impress. and he is up against right now a driver who is in prime position for the championship with Ray's Imtiaz slightly low down the order, and he's also going to have Louis Welsh on the back as we come over the line to begin. Lap number 3 of this one. Change of lead up front. Hitala hits the front as he moves up down into the lead. It's getting all tight. Further back, in the background, Thomas Laminin risking it out with Diego Zorzo. They push each other very wide into turn 1, but Laminin does get ahead, and Zorzo is now on the back foot. Definitely not what he wants. He wants to be going forward at this stage of the race and going brave around the outside, or at least trying to go brave. Is going to be Van Booten. It might leave him off worse because here comes Buba. He backs out of it. Sensible stuff down to turn 6.
It can't really go side by side through this section of the course. It's basically asking for trouble. But you can see a couple of drivers get optimistic on the exit. That's Imtiaz pushing the nose through into the entrance of turn 8. And he is going to get himself a nice P8 as we head into turn 10 now.
Ray's Imtiaz, a driver who, while he may have the championship and all of that going on, he is a driver who's always wanted to go on the attack, always wanted to go for overtakes and completely try his best, and he knows that he cannot let drivers bully him or get to the inside and push him out of the way. It's so important for his championship battle to be trying to move himself upwards as Laminin makes use of those soft compound tyres to move up to 3rd position, which means he is 10 places up from where he started the race. Ayert's also made his way up a couple of places, and he's on the hards like is everyone else. We come over the line and we're going to begin lap number 4 as they come back over to the pit wall, then the traditional line as they make their way through over now the line. And here we go with another change of lead back to the front for Laurie Tulke, but it's the positions behind that they all will be squabbling for, and Laminin on the softs will surely try get himself up to 2nd and also possibly into 1st as well to try and make use of the soft compound tyres while they last.
Well, he's certainly stretching his legs and making the most of the tyres while he has them. You can see going for another one now. Hitala is in the firing line on this occasion, and he's watched these two go back and forth a couple of times. Doesn't want to be stuck in that mess. He has the tyre advantage, he has the compound under his belt, and while he knows his mileage is going to be done in a couple more laps tops before he starts to see some serious falling away, he's managed to get almost through the entire grid in the space of 3 laps of running.
Absolutely. As we now look at Thomas Laminin, who will surely be the next one to try attack Laurie Tulke, and what he'll hope is that he can pull away with those tyres. That's always the hope as well. But him starting so low down the order meant that it was always going to be having to pass loads of cars before he could get himself into the position. We're seeing his teammate right now, Hendon, making his way through. Linus Donovan, the Aston Martin driver, currently in 4th position right now behind Tony Atala, staring at a podium at this stage, looking for the opportunity, and all of the drivers trying to protect the battery at this stage as Thomas Laminin, surely at the front of the field, is about to go for the lead, but it's Tony Atala about to follow through as well as he goes to the inside. It's a complete ball down to towards turn number 1, and you've also got Diego Zorzo risking it out. He's wheel to wheel with Donovan, who right on board with Danny Van Rooten. Doesn't open the door for the Alpine driver. He could get boxed in if the situation continues down towards turn 4. Giving a bit of room is Linus Donovan, and he makes contact. I don't believe it. Laurie Tulke's been spun around momentarily. He'll continue on. He's down to 7th. He's only now ahead of Ray's Imtiaz, and Ray's Imtiaz is alongside. He couldn't get through. A big moment in this championship as Tulke, a leader of this race, a pole sitter, making his way through, now finding himself dropping down the order, and he's just ahead of Ray's Imtiaz to completely throw this championship wide open. And now Zorzo in 3rd has lost the 1 second gap to the top 2. It's all chaos as we see Buba running out wide.
Buba's outbraked himself. He's got Tulke now ahead of him, and Tulke's just breathed a sigh of relief. He's got a car between himself and his primary rival now. This is what he needed. He needs to just get out there now, and he needs to make sure that whatever he does, that a mistake like that does not happen for him or to him again. He can't be affording these kinds of issues and the coming together of cars like we saw just coming out of turn 4, because that will leave him in some serious trouble. And now the main championship contender, the pendulum has quite substantially swung to now be more looking like Zorzo than it is Tulke, despite that strong quali performance. Hitala and Laminin swap, Royton and Zorzo swap as well, as we see duos are also trading around. Donovan's going to get a chance out of it into turn 1. And the Hasses are reunited with Imtiaz going for a bit of a tussle against Louis Welch. They're locking tyres. It's 2-3 wide. Buba with the double. Nicely done. Great recovery there from the overtake on the Ferrari.
Absolutely. Marcibiega also fancying his chances to try go the long way around. Didn't work out for him, and that could leave himself vulnerable to the McLaren diving to the inside. And Kendon also manages to get through as well. But yes, Danny Van Bruten was the driver who was basically like, okay, well, I'm just going to use a lot of my battery and I'm just going to close in on the top 2. Doing so, he's brought everyone back in, and we're basically back to formation, but with a slightly mixed up order than what we had. But at least for Tulki and Zorzo, they have now the 1 second. They're both together, and Ray's Imtiaz was getting himself very close. 3 wide, definitely is risky stuff on the exit. You could see how close it was. We were on board with Welsh. He was right up against Imtiaz, and it both allowed Buba through. The driving that we're seeing so far is on the edge immediately, because as we've talked to you, I think we put a lot of emphasis on this earlier on. You've got so many different stories, so many different races playing out, meaning that we are going to see clashes between them all, and it is going to result in contacts and wheel banging like we have seen so far.
Yeah, well, the question is who's going to be the first to tap out? And I'm not just talking about tyres, because, well, we already know the answer to that one. That's not going to stop him from going for first position once again, and it is going to be opening the door for Van Ruyten to take the move also in the first corner. No, what I'm talking about is who's going to be the first to bow to the pressure, to really make a serious mistake that puts their race in severe jeopardy. Tulki had a close call. They managed to salvage it, and they're back in the running alongside their teammate. But they cannot be in a position like that and then have another mistake, because that will truly be championship ending for them.
Absolutely. We're taking a look at Zach Miles at this stage. He's got Elekes ahead, and then they've got a 1.3 second gap to our leading train as the different battles start and continue to form. You've got Tom 97 on the back of Justin Ayertz as we take a look at all of these different battles that continue to play out on lap number 7, a race that is going by quickly, a race that is delivering in terms of action as we ride on board with Ray's Imtiaz. And what is Ray's Imtiaz going to be thinking at this stage as he is tucked up behind the Red Bull? He saw the Red Bull make the overtake. He's in this train. He's absolutely in this battle. And Zorzo's getting very close to Donovan as well, so it could get very tight. Down towards turn 1. The gap seems to be much more closer this time around between the entire field. We could get a complete brawl where we make our way through. Buba had to get out of it due to Larry Tulki, and doesn't open the Tulki's off. Larry Tulki went off the road, and it means Ray's Imtiaz is now ahead as we go 3 wide down the start finish straight. It is all exploding here at Bahrain. Van Bruten has the lead. Itala's in second. Linus Donovan's in third. The action's behind. You have Tulki trying to be hyper late on the brakes. Can he stay ahead of Buba? He does. He stays ahead of Welsh as well, and Ray's Imtiaz finds himself ahead. That's another moment where it is all changed, and now Ray's Imtiaz does have track position over one of the Haas drivers.
I don't even know where to begin with that one, to be honest with you, because Tulki, I don't know if there was contact between himself and Buba, but Buba looked like they outbraked themselves to an extent, and then you see Tulki running wide, which opened the door. Now, great recovery, don't get me wrong. Tulki's, though, he's got this race on like a yo-yo. He's at one point is dropping down, then he's making a massive upswing, and he's back up next to his main championship rival. Can't be affording this kind of inconsistency, because this is the inconsistency that your opponents capitalize on. Your own fault or not, you've got to just run the race in your own little pocket and avoid any chaos, because chaos is slow. Chaos is what gets you overtaken. And Tulki needs not only to get past Imtiaz, but a reminder with the 6 points gap on the table. He needs Imtiaz to stay right where they are right now, and he needs to get up into first.
Needs to bolt forward. Talk about bolting forward. It's a bolt from one of the blues as Hitala moves through ahead of Danny Van Bruyten. You've got Donovan still in P3, Louis Welsh moving up to 9th position as we head towards turn number 4. Loads of drivers weaving all over the place, all of them trying to make some overtakes, and it's going to be a late lunge from Thomas Laminin. Does it open the door? Are we about to go 3 wide? Does Diego Zorzo risk it? Does Diego Zorzo risk it? He's going to the inside line. That's close between himself and the Aston Martin of Donovan, who is ahead, and now you've got Ray's Imtiaz on the back, which means Zorzo has no other choice but to send it down the inside. He does send it down the inside, couldn't do anything with it, and take a look at this. The 3 cars in the center of your picture, the top 3 in the championship, all together, all dueling on the circuit at once.
I think Laminen's starting to lose a bit of that soft tyre advantage now. Starting to fall away a little bit, and when he made that attack on Donovan, it looked very close to call there. I wonder if there was a bit of tyre bumping that did prevent Donovan from staging a counter-attack. Either way, as you said, we got major fighting in this mid-pack. 2 Hasses flanking the Ferrari and looking like they are both hungry for some progress. Don't want Imtiaz to be moving away from them, and they want to see them move up so that they can get that championship away.
There we go. Over the line once more. The top 2 continue their story of the race. Elekes is our opening retirement. Further back, it is getting super tight once again as they make their way through as Van Rooten hits the front of the field. Ranieri made his way into the pit lane as well earlier on for those mediums. He's had those mediums on for 4 laps as Zach Miles gets ahead of Oleg Napodowski as well, who is in 13th position. We're looking at his teammate right now though, and Van Rooten and Tony Hitala finding themselves in a good situation at the front of the field, just continuing how the race is running. But my word, is it all tensed for the drivers in 5th, 6th and 7th as well. And Laminin, of course, as we mentioned, with a poor qualifying, experimenting something different. Now it looks to be that the soft tyres are fading away. But to be fair, he's doing a very good job of sticking with it, considering that he's only under 2 tenths away from Tony Hitala as that gap continues to flow around. But he's in the mix, he's in the battle still.
Well, they're able to run those soft tyres from the start and still being able to keep decent enough pace. So that's commendable in and of itself. We do see a bit of push now happening from Mr. Ferrari. Imtiaz coming for the challenge on Zorzo here. And looking like an attempt, but not a successful overtake. Maybe they'll tee something up in a little bit of time. Donovan going alongside Laminin now. Going to leverage some of that advantage. You're going to see Laminin go for a challenge. There is going to be, looks like a bit of contact there, as there is 2, 3, all occupying the same space on the track. That is Hitala going for the aggressive outer line and trying to keep the speed up. They do not want to yield that position under any cost. It's 2 by 2. It's Tilke dropping down. It's Laminin dropping down. Those softs have definitely given away from the McLaren, but Tilke is giving away time on a silver platter.
Absolutely late lunchtime from Louis Welsh as he sends it to the inside of Buba. You also had Zorzo making himself up past Laminin. That was critical as well. That's another critical overtake. Louis Welsh versus Buba. The dive bomb that we saw at turn 8 continues down towards turn number 10 between those 2 drivers, and Buba is going to ahead, but this is where we are really starting to see it all unfold. What a title final we are seeing. It's all right now taking place after the advantage looked to be for Larry Tilke. If Zorzo can get on with it, if Zorzo can make his way through up the order and leave Imtiaz and Tilke both in 6th and 7th, that could promote him then into prime position as well. It's all changing around very quickly. As we mentioned, while the top 2 are Tilke and Imtiaz, Zorzo is absolutely still in the mix as we come over the line to begin another lap of this race that continues to deliver so much action. And we're going to get a bit more of it now. Down towards turn number 1, change of lead once more as we see moving up is Hitala getting super tight as Laminin could be under a bit of pressure from Imtiaz further back as well. Not the only battles you can see, where you've got Oleg Napodowski currently in 12th position, just ahead of Justin Ayertz, but Imtiaz not able to get through that time around on Laminin.
There's a couple of challenges being teed up, but not fully executed, as we're entering an interesting middle point of the race now. Now, I'm going to cut straight to the point. I think Laminin should have already pitted. It looks like they are seriously dropping on these softs, And despite the good blocking job they are able to do, Laminen is dropping pace. They're going to have to go in, and the only thing I think that they're maybe pining out for now is if they are running those softs just enough to get an optimal medium stint and find a really good balance between speed and longevity. But the rest of the field on the hard compound is very much poised to do something different and to sort of inverse on him. So it's still anyone's game on the strategy front. But Laminen, I think, is playing a very dicey strategy game. And Imtiaz along with Tulki, the two are going to continue to squabble. And I think the two, in line with that, are going to be weighing each other down. Ooh, as if he heard me, Laminen is now into the pits. The only question is, what compound would come out with?
That's the question. As we go through the opening turn on the circuit, hard compound of tyres on full. Thomas Laminen, great stuff to stretch it all the way through, but he of course had to pit at some stage. We are seeing Louis Welsh just tuck in behind Uber right now at this stage of the contest. Raising just 7 tenths away, of course. They were losing time along with Thomas Laminen, so they're going to have to try and recover a bit of the gap. They're still inside though that critical and important 1 second, which of course gives them the DRS around the 3 zones that are offered around this circuit.
Those DRS zones are going to be more than vital. They are your lifeline. They are what keep you in this race. We can see that already with the bifurcated field. You have a massive gap between Biega and Ertz. About 2 seconds. And that's all down to the fact that they haven't been within proximity for a couple of laps. The gap has massively grown. It's only going to continue to do so. That's why we see such a major pack of cars now flying their way down the penultimate straight. And then anyone who is not part of that queue might as well be running in a multi-class event. Because there's no way that these two groups are going to make contact with one another anytime soon. I mean, that's not even to speak of Laminen, who right now is running on those hard tyres, which means that he's got the longevity added to the softs that he needed, but he's not got anyone to DRS chain with, and it's going to be a serious time loss for them.
Indeed, that is going to be the serious time loss that you of course just described to us as the continuous position changes, all tactical at this stage, but it's all gonna get even more wild as we get the pistols. That's usually the point where it gets a bit more like that the drivers need to get themselves in proper positions. Thomas Laminen might be able to jump these drivers, and then also where they overtake, where they pass, could also be another critical point, and that can be the chaos point as well. 4 out of 3 title contenders all trying to navigate their way through, all trying to stick with each other. If they lose touch, that is when you start to see more and more and more cars get in between, and that is not what they want. Imtiaz, all he really has to do is stick wherever where the Hasses go as well, and definitely be in the mix, do everything to try and deny them. He doesn't necessarily need to win the race, he just needs to try and do everything to limit what Haas can do.
Yeah, it's that old adage of not needing to win, but just needing the other to lose. And that's the strategic angle that I think they're going to be looking for here. As in the same vein from the Haas perspective, doesn't necessarily need to win, just needs to make sure that Imtiaz loses enough for both of them to be in the championship running. Donovan's going to challenge on Hitala. Van Ruyten's getting away with it all. Zorzo could have a chance to really peel through here. They're teed up on the inside of Hitala here, going into turn 4. Gonna have the narrow line. They might still be side by side heading into the second sector. Someone's gotta give. Neither of them are gonna give at this point. They're going side by side all the way through the sector at this rate. Look at the two of them butting heads, clashing horns. Nobody is willing to yield an inch. And Imtiaz is going to be capitalizing on that momentum all the same. They go very narrow. It's 2. It's 3 wide. Heading down into the middle section of the circuit and down the DRS straight. In the end, it's going to be Zorzo who's left out of pocket from the timing, the positioning. Because Imtiaz and Hitala both end up ahead.
Absolutely, that is going to be Imtiaz doing exactly what he needed. Just also getting in the way of the Hasses as Laurie Tulkey is trying to hang on ahead of Louis Welsh. He cannot afford to lose this time. Now the Hasses are behind. Now they've got to be the ones who try and get in the mix and definitely stay with Faze Imtiaz. We come over the line once again to see who will be dishing out the overtakes. We know it's going to be coming from the Aston Martin of Linus Donovan, who goes to the outside. Now the Hasses go wheel to wheel as they go down towards turn number 1. These two who said they were going to be working together, but they know they've both got a chance at this championship. Zorzo still ahead. You've got Tulkey in behind, and you've got Donovan, your new race leader, still down into turn number 4, but right now, it's Imtiaz who's still ahead of both Hasses. They will definitely need to come up with something. It can all still change around. It can all still change around when it comes to the pit stop phase. Loads of stages of this race still to go where it all can happen. But it's definitely one that's going by quickly. We're already on lap number 16.
Yeah, we've officially crossed the halfway point of the race now, folks. So, this is your time. If you have a prediction, you want to lock it in right now. And also let us know who your favourite driver has been throughout the race. So far, all eyes are firmly trained towards the top half of the grid, as nobody is going to be resting for a single lap. Van Ruyten and Donovan remain in close quarters. Van Ruyten chose to peel off rather than attacking into turn 4. I think likely looking at the wider scenario first, rather than just going for the immediate position, which can always be gained back later on. Hitala and Imtiaz also running close with the two Hasses in the third duo, and going to need to have each other's backs. They've gone from a position of strength, of dominance, to now with Imtiaz peeling things back and currently holding the lead over them like a carrot on a stick. We have a speeding pit lane penalty for Tom, 97, and a couple of position changes at the top briefly, as Hitala, Donovan, they are going to be going together. They're going to be trading blows, and Imtiaz is now getting involved as well. They're going to slice their way past Hitala to go for a third spot, but bit of a wobble. That opens the door to the Hasses as well. It's 3 wide through turn 8, and you just don't see that. You really don't see them push the limits like they are, but both of the Hasses have, in perfect parallel through the second sector, have taken themselves up into P4 and was P5, but Hitala strikes out in revenge. He's not going to let both of them go by. Zorzo gets away with it, but Tulkey is going to have to fight another one for that.
How did they do that? Doesn't matter though, because they were somehow able to get through momentarily until Tulkey lost that position. But you can see it's getting tasty. The Hasses want to immediately try to find a way through, and that was risky stuff from Imtiaz. And himself and Hitala very nearly spinning around and basically giving it to Haas on a plate. However, that chaotic battling has meant they're outside the 1 second, and that is going to mean Zorzo's going to move up through. Diego Zorzo moves up through. Will he also be joined by some other drivers? Hitala goes to the outside line. Hitala goes through as well. Does Tulkey have a run towards turn 4? As Imtiaz will try and get the DRS back. That's the thing with the 2 detection zones. Does also Tulkey try fight away through? He is going to sit in behind at this stage, but all of this battling that was going on for third nearly allowed the top 2 to run away. They've all closed back in now, and we're back into formation. But some of the drivers who've gone for those early pit stops definitely could be bolting up the order at this stage, and then you're going to see these drivers hunting them down in the final stages. It's all poised for an incredible end to the championship.
Yeah, well, everyone's just sizing each other up and going for those little moves, those little swings right now. Eventually, it's going to start getting a bit more aggressive. The closer we get to the end of the race, and as we get past the pit stop window, that's when we're really going to see the claws being bared and the teeth being out by all of these drivers, since they know on one end of the spectrum it's the last race of the season, but on the other end of the spectrum it's the last race of the season. And for some drivers, as much as it might not be as impactful to the drivers in the championship, this is everything. But we can see now a massive set of cars now heading into the pits. Hopefully, there's not going to be any stacking issues. Looks like they're all from different teams. They're managing to dodge the bullet here, but we are officially seeing that transition period. And now everyone is going to be jumping onto the softs to finish off. So following the inverse of Laminen's example, will Laminen actually see some gains here? Tilke's going to overtake Imtiaz for the position and take the current, well, say, provisional lead of the race. That's the word I was looking for. As we will, of course, see things change around once everyone's taken their stops. Seriously, impressive fighting, though. Impressive work from everyone at the top, because the battles have been non-stop at this end of the field.
Absolutely. So, of course, that was a story of Imtiaz not having the DRS, so not having the rear wing open, while Tulki, of course, did. So, I don't think Ray's Imtiaz chose to fight that one anyway too much this time around, but he'll know that he'll have an opportunity. Get on those soft competitive tires, different story. He'll be doing everything to stop the Hasses. The Hasses will do everything to stop him and also run away, because that's what they need in the end. They are the ones who need to not only stick with Imtiaz, but they need to go ahead. They need to go and overtake the next few cars up the road to try and get this championship in the bag. We're on board with Booba, who is running second in this train of the drivers that have pitted. Laminin now will be coming under major pressure from the drivers like Donovan and also Diego Zorzo. Tulki, pit. Imtiaz, pit. Also, you've got Kenton, Viega, and everyone else who hadn't made a pit stop coming into the pit lane. So now we're about to get set for some amazing last few laps of the season with the champion still to be crowned.
Yeah, it's game time. And this is going to see some big winners and losers. Let's see on board with Imtiaz as they seem to be leading that queue of cars leaving the pits. Booba's going to be out in the lead. And Welch is going to be in P2. Donovan's in P3 as they're fighting along with Van Roten. Zorzo in 5th. But then look at the rest of the field. That overcut has dropped them out of the order. The undercut by the rest of the field. Although Zorzo making a serious issue. Yeah. And in through turn 4's dropped down to 5th place. Booba, though, surprise, surprise, a lap earlier on the softs and a lap stronger for it as they're currently sat in P1.
Yeah, sorry, Sappy, we had Tulki who just left the session. So that will be his championship, basically. Unless he's able to get back in, that will be his championship. Pretty much done. All hopes now lie for Diego Zorzo. And I mean, Tulki's dropping down. There's not really much he can do now. It's pretty much done. So I don't know if something happened for... I don't know if it was him just leaving the session due to he had a front wing change or something must have happened. But yeah, it looks like his championship's done.
Yeah, this could be all but curtains now. And it is unfortunate to see because we want to see it settled on the track. We don't want to be seen settled by circumstances that aren't yours to make. So he's going to continue to drop down, and even if he gets back in, I think the writing is on the wall. So the only real contender to challenge Imtiaz's hold on the championship now is Zorzo. And this order will very much change. But will it change enough for Imtiaz to hold on to the title?
That's the question. That's the question as well. The drama continues after it looked like that. Had we had a race like we did in qualifying, it was going to be in Laurie Tulki's advantage, but it's all switched around. Something has happened in the pit stop phase. Something's happened before the pit stop phase. Something has happened for sure to see him drop down the order. I'd assume that he had front wing damage in the game. Surely must have changed his front wing, because I mean, he did leave the session, yes, but at the same time you would have to assume for him to come out all the way in last and not with Ray's Imtiaz in the first place, that it was surely something to do with front wing or him being held or something that would have happened in the pit stop phase. We'd have to assume that it was something to do with the front wing. Big disappointment for Laurie Tulki, and he's still driven brilliantly this season, and he still definitely deserves to finish in the top 3 spots. So it's now over to his teammate Diego Zorzo and also Ray's Imtiaz, who will be fighting. Talking about fighting, Ray's Imtiaz needs to get past Thomas Laminin. He's the driver on the hard compound of tyres now. We come over the line and we're ready for some more action towards turn number 1.
So that is going to be Imtiaz getting past Laminin in pretty smooth fashion. It's a 3-wide move into turn 1 though, as Donovan tries to get along with it all. Van Ruyten is into third, Buba in second, with Louis Welch taking the lead of it. Oh, that looks like a bit of bodywork just got thrown into the air. Not sure what car that belonged to. Zorzo, currently sat in P5, was getting the nose in on what could have been quite a moment there. Looks like that is the front left end plate of the Alpine. So we're just jumping on board to try and get a visual confirm. And yes, that is the front left end plate of the Alpine car. That Van Ruyten. That is the one that's missing. So that is going to be something tough for him to overcome. If he wants to stay in this podium, he's going to have to drive like he's never driven before.
This is going to be incredible stuff. You can see Zorzo battling with Hitala. Hitala trying to go all the way around the outside. Diego Zorzo trying to remain in there, but going the long way around, and the Williams does get through. Up to 5th position for Tony Hitala as Diego Zorzo drops down to 6th position. We come out of the final corner once again, and let's see who is going to be making the overtakes. As Haas's hopes for the championship now, the Drivers' Championship rely with Diego Zorzo, who's pulling out of the slipstream. He's trying to get back past Itala as we continue the brawl for the race lead, which sees Buba get into P1. But can Diego Zorzo go the long way around? Critical move for the championship. The Ferrari you would have just seen in the background of your picture is Reyes Imtiaz. He is coming closer and closer with this battle getting even more frenetic. We're going 3 wide in the battle for second place, but it's Van Ruyten who's got it for the moment. Still we go side by side. Still Diego Zorzo's risking it all to get past Tony Itala. Hitala's had a close moment with the Haas at this part of the circuit already, and he doesn't want to have it again, so he backs out of it. He's in 6th, Tom 97 in 7th, and then it's Reyes Imtiaz who will be doing everything in his power to get up to Diego Zorzo.
P5 to P8 isn't enough for that points gap, and that is going to be the clincher for this whole ordeal right now. It's all worth keeping in mind that this speaks to an 8-point gap here. It's got to be that 8 points, or more than 8 points really, so 9 points we'll say. That's got to be the margin between the two drivers. P5 to P8 is just not enough. Still in Imtiaz's pocket, and with them up into P7 even more so.
Absolutely, you need Reyes Imtiaz to be under all sorts of pressure, and basically Zorzo too. Attack, 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 all the way to the front of the field, and let's see them. As Buba's done a very good job to get the gap to 0.8 of a second, as Tom 97 is being passed by Master Biega, who is heading through, and now it's going to get really frenetic once again at the front of the field. Oh no, they've collided! They've collided! And off the road goes Louis Welsh as they make contact. Danny Van Ruyten drops down and now trying to go through. Oh, more contact between Itala, who hits the back of the Mercedes car of Louis Welsh. It was all over the road as the top two now try pull away with the 1 second gap. Zorzo moves up to 3rd position. Imtiaz now in 6th, and this race that's been frenetic so far continues. Imtiaz trying to go through. Imtiaz will go through as he moves up to 5th.
Yeah, it just seemed to snap together or lock wheels or some kind of issue. It looks like, crazily enough, Welch not taking any visual damage, and Van Ruyten also managing to stave off further issue, but they certainly know how to make it look dramatic.
Indeed, and I think that's Louis Welsh in the background getting out of the way. I think he's going to let everyone do, and he'll be retiring possibly from this race unless he was just giving that position back to Danny Van Ruyten, which I mean he hasn't got a penalty right now at this stage, so it would be well, if he believes it was his fault, then the right thing to do. He's been tagged by Tom 97 as Louis Welsh will continue on. And that moment goes from bad to worse for Louis Welsh, who now has Justin Ayers, the F1 champion from last season, also trying to go through into the end of the lap, and he will make his way through as well. And I wonder whether that was Danny Van Ruyten into the pit lane. It was Danny Van Ruyten into the pit lane as he is going to retire. And Zorzo now in 3rd. Can he get ahead of Buba? Can he get ahead of Donovan and give himself the best opportunity? As Larry Tulke, of course, is joined back, he won't be able to really do anything in terms of, at this stage, currently running in 15th position, 46 seconds off the pace. So he'll be watching with the rest of us, unless he wants to just go out there, continue on and drive around for a bit of fun to end his season.
But just about 5 laps of driving to go. I know the tensions are going to be high from some drivers in the drivers' chat in the paddock. I think we're already starting to see it come to fruition a little. But 3 retirees. Van Ruijten now joining the likes of Ranelli and Elekes. Unfortunately bowing out at the final hurdle of season 38. But now we train our eyes and we focus on the drivers who are running it all the way to the line. And we see that Hitala, despite the ups and downs, is continuing to be a consistent threat and consistent pressure on the drivers around them. Right to the back of Zorzo right now. And they have seriously got a bone to pick with the way they are driving, but it looks like they're not going to give him even an inch to be able to breathe. Really want that spot.
Absolutely. Over the line, here comes Diego Zorzo as he goes on the charge. That means Buba has to deploy the battery and go for the move himself. Laminin retires side by side. First and second go as Buba tries to take the victory, but they've got Diego Zorzo who wants to surely go through as well, as we're very nearly going full wide down the straight. Hitala trying to go through. That could be great momentum for Zorzo to stay ahead of Hitala and possibly move up to second place. It's so close, you can see them all heading down into that corner. The Aston Martin's ahead. The Haas hasn't been left off the best of the corner, and you've got Reyes Imtiaz directly in behind. Critical moment in this championship as we continue to go side by side, and off Diego Zorzo's off the road, and that is going to hurt any of the chances that he would have had. He'll need absolute chaos ahead now to try and fight himself back in front. A big moment. It's been going all over the place for Haas today as Reyes Imtiaz just looks to cling on.
It looks like it's gone from bad to worse for the Haas outfit because Tilke bowing out and his game confirmed. We see you in chat. Sad to see you drop out of the race, my friend, after such a brilliant performance in particular. But confirmation that their game is in fact not working as intended. And that meaning they had to bow out of the session. And then now you have Zorzo. It looks like they almost pinged to the side. Looks like they made contact and their car was shot out to the left. Either way, that's given an opportunity for Imtiaz to push into a podium spot. And with only technically 12 positions left in the race, that means that if we get any more retirements, every position will be points paying. And then that completely redefines the championship positioning. But Uber's just been ghosting in. Has there been a bit of desync there? Because they've just teleported down from first to third.
Absolutely. All kicking off then. That is disappointment. I know Larry Turkey was suffering with some issues yesterday as well. And that is heartbreaking to see for a driver who put in all the effort, who put in all of the work and would have been excited to come into this. Got that bonus point for pole, got the gap down all the way through to 6 points, and it's heartbreaking to see a brilliant championship campaign not go rewarded and not even given the chance to fight all the way at the end. Talking about fighting all the way at the end, these two drivers will go for it. That's Hitala, that's Biega, as we will send it down to us, turn number 12, and Hitala will have that position. And Biega will have to sit in behind. He'll get the chance to try and fight back as we're about to go on to our penultimate lap. And Linus Donovan is trying to pull away now. So Donovan trying to pull away. Imtiaz in second. You'll get the DRS and you'll get the opportunity to try and close back in. The gap is very nearly is 1 second momentarily. And it's super close directly in behind for third position as we come over the line to begin the penultimate lap.
Yeah, I would say Imtiaz just about a second within as they went over the detection zone. So not quite enough from Donovan to really break that order. Biega and Zorzo, they're going to go side by side and come together as we come into turns 2 and 3. Turn 4 now, and Zorzo remains committed to the inside. They will have their way through the apex of the corner on the penultimate lap. And with Zorzo now in 5th, they have a potential chance to close in on some more points. They might still be able to get some decent margins out of this, but with Imtiaz up in 2nd, doesn't look like the title's on the card. Certainly 2nd in the championship will be.
Absolutely, as well as we make our way through. As you can see, that is just in the background, Larry Chulke out of the way as well. But it is utterly heartbreaking for him, and Zorzo finds himself just ahead right now of Oleg Napadovsky as we're about to head onto the final lap of the season. Rays Imtiaz trying to get, well, race victory along with the championship as well. Will he celebrate it? From the top step, Donovan's got a 3-second time penalty for track limits. And now the real battle will be between Rays Imtiaz and Buba as we head on to the last lap. The man about to be called a champion driver moves through, takes the lead into turn number 1. And Donovan now is going to put himself down to second place, but he'll drop much more down the order with that penalty.
Like, the minute you see that warning, you feel your heart stop and feel almost the life drain out of that car in real time. We even heard it when they burnt out the ERS and the engine dropped. You could feel the frustration and almost a sense of loss from Donovan. They'll still fight it out to the very end, but they know that all of this fighting for the podium and for the win has been in vain. That 3 seconds is going to put them out of even the top 5. That really is a death nail to their confidence and to their running here. We have Luke and Miles with a last minute trade. We see Imtiaz going for it on the inside out of turn 11 and into turn 12 up the hill. Donovan is going to be still challenging for top honours on the track at least. But we all know as we come up to the line now, they weave deep to the inside, try and just break the toe, do whatever they have to do to get the others. And oh, serious contact! Buba is getting caught in the crossfire of it all, slammed into the wall. And Imtiaz, he's out round. And in a chaos of the end, what has happened as Imtiaz is into P10 and Zorzo into P5? That is absolute insanity at the line. I can't. What even? Where do you begin? I didn't even mute my microphone. I can't even. Wow. I just don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I don't think they were too kind to your voice. I think, Sappy, you were just getting ready to call Rays MTS to the championship quite easily there, but no. They give you absolute dodgem stuff at the end and some, well, shouty bits to end off the season. Yeah, I don't really know where to start with that one, if I'm honest.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna make the obvious racing or ping pong joke, but we of course have much to discuss back at the office. Hitala, throughout all the chaos, has bagged himself the on-track win here at Bahrain to round the season off with Biega in P2. Buba, the bad hand of luck they got dealt with at the penultimate corner, was paid back in full in P3 finish. Nabadovsky getting that surge into P4 with Zorzo getting the recovery of a lifetime out of that chaos into P5. Justin, Welch, Donovan, Luke, and Miles finish off your points-paying positions with Tom 97, Reyes Imtiaz getting demolished down into 12th position. And that is all of your finishing drivers. Tilke, Laminen, Royton, Renali, and Alekas not making it to the line. But what do you even begin to say with that? The race and championship leader. Just absolute, well, there's no other way to put it. Just being absolutely robbed and banished in the final couple of corners. There's just absolute chaos up to the line.
Yeah, I think we've had an absolutely brilliant season. I think we need to get that out of the way. But just wild way to end the season. You just don't usually see that. We are coming down to the final corners, and it's all taking place. We're getting ready to call Rays Imtiaz to the championship. All of a sudden, well, still Rays Imtiaz got to the championship, but in the end, we couldn't even properly announce it for him or for any of you as well with what went on, because it's complete unbelievable to first of all see Buba just going round. Of course, we have to definitely mention that Buba was going definitely for that victory. He was battling for on-track position. You had Donovan with the penalty. But yes, both of them battling their way through down to the end. And then randomly, when we cut to it further up, you also then see Reyes Imtiaz spinning around as well, and along with Donovan. So they both found themselves moving through. But, oh my god, cannot believe what we've just seen.
Yeah, well, to give a bit of insight and a bit of context before we go into our interviews or any potential interviews with the drivers, if they want to, of course, I would not be surprised if we see the drivers abstaining from interviews out of just not wanting to say things that they never want to be immortalized on the internet, and I don't blame a lot of them in that regard. With that finish, that is going to be bringing the gap from... Actually, no, I think I've made a bit of a mistake here. I think there is an issue with the timing and the standings order that we saw at the end of the race. I think this is going to be a weird situation to try and count back. Like, we could have had a situation where the count back on the points is where Imtiaz held on to the championship. So, for those who don't know, when you get a situation where drivers are equal points in championship standing, count back is used. So it's whoever has the most amount of first places, followed by whoever has the most amount of seconds, thirds, fourths, so on, until you have someone carrying an advantage, and they are the one who gets the position over the other. I was initially thinking that we had a situation where Zozo had made up the points gap and was just losing the championship on countback to him. But I am being told that Reyes actually got P9 rather than the P12 we saw on screen, owing to, again, some issues, which will mean that categorically Imtiaz has taken the championship. Now, of course, we open the floor to interviews from any of our drivers, and we do want to welcome them for their thoughts. But that is... I don't know how to feel or how to describe the climax to this championship right here, because it was running to the line, and it looked like such a triumphant finish to round it off. But out of nowhere, it gets completely turned upside down. While it's still the outcome, it's the process, and it's that final couple of corners that's completely thrown a spanner.
Yeah, and it's just something that we didn't expect. And well, usually we like stuff that we don't expect, where it just all randomly happens. Yeah, it's quite interesting to see, definitely, all the way at the end, what took place. And yeah, we definitely wanted to see it decided all the way at the end. First of all, the issue for Tulki, that just completely removed him out of contention. That's just heartbreaking, first of all, anyway, which already started ruining the battle slightly coming into it. But then after that, you had everything going on, and you had all of the chaos at the end, where basically, as soon as I saw that, I was immediately looking, oh yeah, how much points does that position have, and all of that. We had just absolutely everything happening, and then of course, as we mentioned, and then even when you think, okay, well, they've all come across the line, everything's sorted, apparently didn't get 12th as well, which changes it up even further, and basically fully get to raise Imtiaz to the championship, which, let me just add, there still could be penalties, there still could be a lot, because, I mean, there is going to be something surely coming out of this, so definitely do keep an eye on the PSGL socials. Every season there is championship official confirmed announcements that do go out, so definitely keep an eye for that. But it's just like, what on earth happened at the end?
Yeah, what on earth happened? I think that's really the sticking point in all of this. It's just, what? I really don't know where to take that. But one thing that we do know, and we can still hold our heads high on and cleanly on, is that we've had an amazing season. Now, I want to keep things moving forward, and from what I can see, I don't think drivers are exactly keen to give interviews, and it's not the championship ending that we would have wanted. But this is where we start to gaze into the future and into Season 39. Ladies and gentlemen, the calendar for Season 39 is the shortest, I think, that we have ever had in a very long while in the history of PSGL. And it's certainly the shortest that we have had on F1 24. So it's going to be a quick, a frenetic season, and then we welcome the future and next title in the series, of course. But you want to get yourself involved, get yourself on that Discord server, get yourself signed up, and get those laps in before time runs out. You've only got February 20th, that's when the season officially begins, and placements are having to be completed well before that, so if you want in, now's your chance, and that's where you gotta get it. If we see you in F3, we, of course, look greatly forward to it, but it has been an amazing season behind the chair. You might see us here, you might see us in another tier, you might not see us at all, who knows? But what we do know, and what I know, it's been absolutely brilliant. And Omi, I cannot thank you enough for being the co-com through it all, and being the guy who's been able to sort of carry the line, even regardless of my presence or not. Because I'll admit, I've been a little flaky season, but certainly looking to bring back season 39 strong.
Absolutely. Huge thank you to you, Sappy, especially of course for streaming the races. I've of course had the issues going on with the game, so I look forward to F1 25. But yes, I hope to be back alongside you, Sappy. We are unsure whether that'll happen, and we also don't know what tier we'll be in. It's all to be decided, but we cannot wait for the new season of PSGL, and we'll of course do it at the exact same circuit. We're gonna start it the way we end it here under the lights at Bahrain. But a huge thank you to you, Sappy.
How's that for continuity, eh? You start exactly where you left off. It's like nothing ever happened, nothing ever changed. in a roundabout way, before my voice gave out, it's kind of like a redo. It's almost as if the stars aligned. Whoever planned this calendar almost had the clairvoyance to see what would happen at the end of this race and said, you know what, race 1 of season 39, we'll give you a mulligan, we'll give you another go. But that is where we round things off for tonight. To all the drivers, you've been absolutely nothing short of amazing. And even through the ups and downs, it has been a roller coaster of a ride to be able to witness and to be able to be. And for you watching at home, we do hope you'll stick with us. We've still got F2 and F4 going on right at this moment as we speak, and they are going to be the places where you want to be watching. We're about to hand over to F2, so do not go anywhere, folks. Hopefully, we have caught them in time to catch the perfect moment for liftoff and race time. But thank you as always. We will see you in the near future. Be sure to support our good friends over at GT Omega, as well as the team behind the operation. And thank you for a great season. For now, goodbye.